As the rains close in, Huda Ali has no real shelter for her 4 children. Hanan Adam Hassan doesn't have enough food for her family. Her daughter Inam is living with the trauma of witnessing death and rape. 3 victims of the world's largest humanitarian crisis, and perhaps one of its most forgotten. Despite the conflict's staggering toll, 150,000 estimated dead, 12 million displaced, and around 25 million facing hunger and famine. These women fled to Tawila, a town in North Darfur that swelled to more than 500,000, escaping the front line between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, a group Inam has come to fear.
If they find a person with a mobile phone, they would take it from them. If you have money, they take it. If you have a strong donkey, they will take it from you. They kill people. They killed people in front of us. They took girls in front of us and raped them.
Sudan plunged into a civil war in April 2023 when the army and its former ally, the RSF, turned on each other. The Sudanese armed forces, led by General al-Burhan, controlled the north, east and centre and retook the capital, Khartoum, in March, while the RSF holds most of the south and west, including almost complete control of Darfur. But fierce fighting continues in al-Fasher, the army's final stronghold in the region. Over the past 2 years, the RSF, led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemeti, have faced allegations of war crimes. The US believes the group and allied militias committed a genocide against the region's non-Arab population, claims denied by Hemeti's followers. Many are descendants of a militia that terrorized Darfur in the early 2000s. Back then, they were called devils on horseback. Now they roar through the desert in long convoys, turning villages into hellscapes, looting, raping, killing and burning down homes. And the militias are proud to document and show their atrocities, a conviction in their own impunity, fueling such brazen confidence. Last month, they announced a parallel government to the one controlled by the country's army. Hemeti will be head of the Presidential Council. Their vision for a secular new Sudan could drive the country further towards partition. Its people are exhausted by years of fighting. For those that escape, they face hunger and death by cholera. An outbreak in Tawila has claimed the lives of some 52 people. And nationwide, there's not nearly enough help. The UN warns funding cuts are driving an entire generation of children to the brink of irreversible harm. Their future is as uncertain as the future of their country.
Well, I've been speaking to Edem Wosornu, Director of Operations from the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, who's in Port Sudan, and I asked her what the situation is like now.
Thank you for your attention on the world's largest humanitarian crisis, with 30 million people in need of humanitarian assistance of the 48 million people of the Sudan. Conflict hotspots everywhere in the country. We have the world's largest displaced population in and outside the country. We have a sexual violence crisis, a health crisis, a significant protection crisis by all accounts, food crisis. We have health disease outbreaks like cholera. It is quite cataclysmic, I would say, for the people of Sudan.
I was in South Kordofan earlier this year, and all the fear was around just, the running out of food. So what is the current situation with food? Because there is so little aid getting in truth.
You are right. There is significant amount of assistance that we are trying to get into locations like South Kordofan. We do have some assistance, of course, thanks to the generosity of our donors. Let me zero in on Darfur. We have Zamzam camp, IDP, internally displaced camp, with hundreds of thousands of people in need of humanitarian assistance, where famine, of course, was declared, famine conditions declared by the World Food Programme. We have not had access to El Fasher for over a year. We have significant concerns about what's happening there. We've heard horror stories, and that's just North Darfur. I was in Khartoum. I have never seen the total decimation of a capital city. I've never seen anything like this before.
What are the horror stories that you're hearing? Can you give us a sense of what's actually happening?
This is a story of a young 17-year-old girl who was brilliant and lived in an affluent part of Omdurman. She had everything that she wanted in her life, and all of a sudden, from one day to the next, she is thrown into Port Sudan, and I found her in a tent with her parents. Asked why they did not leave. She said, I wanted to finish my education. Sudan is my home. Now that is harrowing in a different way. Then you hear a story of somebody who was displaced multiple times, 7 times, an international NGO worker from Sudan, moving his family from one place to the next and eventually to safety and security in a neighboring country, and then coming back to work. That is a different story. Then, of course, you hear the visceral, horrific stories of rape, the rampant sexual violence, the rampant killings. You've seen humanitarian workers who have been targeted and killed. You've had stories of people being sold into sexual slavery. The stories, horrifying. And this is the worst I have seen in my near 25 years of humanitarian work.
I mean, one of the big problems in Sudan is that one of the parties, the government of Sudan, is sort of in denial about the scale of the suffering, and it refuses to accept that there is starvation and famine going on in Sudan. How important is it that they recognize the truth of what's going on the ground, and that they ask the NGOs and the international community to help and allow them to help? Because half the time the problem is getting permission to move food from one part of the country to the other.
I think continued working and collaboration from the government authorities is critical. We have 70 trucks from World Food Programme, from UNICEF, from UNFPA, from World Health Organization, waiting in Niala, South Darfur, to get into El Fasher.
I know, politics is difficult when you work for the UN, but when you look at the attention of the world and the amount of attention being focused on Gaza and the terrible suffering there and the famine that has been declared there, what do you think when you're coming from a place in Sudan where there has also been famine declared, where there is terrible suffering and huge amounts of civilian deaths?
Of course, suffering is suffering, no matter where it is. And my heart goes out, of course, to the people of Gaza and the untold horrors that are happening there. But indeed, Sudan's attention and the world's attention on Sudan is absolutely essential. It is painful. For the people of Sudan, they feel the world has abandoned them. The world's attention needs to be on Sudan.
Edem Wosornu, thank you very much.
Thank you.